Man, I don't want to get. I'm the only person I know who didn't write home about the first season of Andor.
Okay. Okay.
If you don't watch the Tuesday Christian Harloff show, then you might not know. I watch 120 shows minimum a year.
It's
So I
amazing.
watch more television than anybody I know, maybe tied with Josh McCouga pre having kids, but
Sure.
not
Sure.
now. So
Right.
I watch so much television.
Yeah.
So for me, I am rating this as a TV show, not as a Star Wars property. I am a Star
Yes.
Wars novice. I am not a star. I've seen every Star Wars movie. I've
Right.
seen the live action shows, but I'm not like these people who know every. I'm not a
Right.
Christian. I don't know that much about Star Wars. I've just seen them as a casual fan. So this to me, I'm thinking, how is it as a TV show? Not how is this as a Star Wars
Right.
property?
Right. Right.
And so the first season, everybody was like religious about it. I mean, at the time I was hosting World Girls with Doreen and Steph.
Oh
Every
yeah.
week they were like, "This is the greatest ever, best show ever," and I was like, "It's good. I think it's good. I think it's a good, totally good show."
Right.
And so Christian warned me. He warned me yesterday. The
Oh.
first 3 episodes, I don't think you're gonna be stoked on, but then
Oh
after
wow.
that, I think you're gonna be excited. Um, and I hope that that's true. I hope
Okay.
that after that, I am excited. This
Mm.
show is absolutely, totally adequate. Like, it is not a bad show.
Mhm.
Everything looks amazing, sounds amazing, the performances are great. So that alone gives it a bare minimum, it's good.
Yeah.
I just don't care about the stories at all.
Wow.
So
Okay.
far in
Okay.
season 2, I didn't I don't care. I don't There's so many people. I don't know you guys. I don't I don't know you guys. I don't know how this affects the future of Star. I think that if I understood how this connected to Rogue One, if I remembered Rogue One at all,
Yeah.
maybe the stakes would be higher for me.
Right.
But I'm watching this and I'm like, this is fine. This looks
Yeah.
good. Episode 3 started to pick up for me. But I
Okay.
even have qualms with that, which we'll get into.
Mhm.
Those are my general thoughts on the first 3 episodes. I hope you loved it because otherwise I feel like people are going to turn us off.
No, no, I absolutely loved it. And I
Good.
tweeted it out yesterday or X'd it out, whatever people say. I posted it out yesterday, my thoughts on it. I thought the entire season was incredible. I did enjoy the first 3 episodes because I like these characters and I like the kind of gutsiness of the show to show you what a fascist dictatorship would actually look like. You know, the thing we love in Star Wars is the Empire. We like to, quietly cheer for Vader or loudly cheer for Vader, even though he's killed like billions of people. And he's been a pretty evil, killing those kids in the prequel series, but still people have a love for some of the villains in the Star Wars universe. Well, this show kind of strips all of that away and goes, this is what it actually would be like if an empire was in control of all these planets, could go into a planet and without impunity sexually assault its citizens whenever the hell they felt like it, shut down communication so no one can know what's going on your planet. These little things that they were showing throughout the first 3 episodes, I thought were really interesting. And then on the other side, you had the stuff with Cassian being stuck on the planet with these 2 warring gangs, whatever they are, fighting amongst each other, showing you that, you know what, no progress is made when two sides keep fighting each other, and eventually the person you caught escapes. And so there's a lot of that the commentary going throughout for me that I enjoyed. And by the 3rd episode, you get to see this unique and interesting relationship where it's a man who is essentially in service to his wife or his girlfriend, I guess you would add, being moved on from his mom, who is passive aggressively controlling him. So I thought that was interesting real world stuff combined with Star Wars things like Gorman and Owen Krennic and all of that. So for
I
me,
don't even know what you just said.
yeah, I know. For me, it mixes in.
That's my
Yeah,
reality, is that when I'm
yeah,
watching this, I'm a little frustrated because they keep doing these references, and then I'll see online people are like, "Oh, blah, blah, blah," and I was like,
yeah.
"What?" And I
Oh,
get
corn.
it's good to reward the diehards. That's who you
Right,
should be
right. Sure,
rewarding.
sure. Yeah.
I'm all for that. I've never felt so out of the loop
Mm,
ever
yeah.
as a nerd. This just isn't my nerddom, even though I really like Star Wars. I'm like, who are you guys talking about? And I
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
pause, Google, and I'm like, have I seen this person before? Like, and to your point, John, I
Yeah.
think if it wasn't for the fact that I'm watching that all of the time, and
Yeah.
and for me, better. Like
Yeah.
Handmaid's Tale is telling that story, but I
Yeah.
think better.
Right.
For me,
Right.
Silo, Severance. I mean, we work with a lot of fascist regimes, or at least
Right.
like the little people trying to take out the big people on
Yeah.
television these days. It's not like nobody is brave enough, because I keep hearing that. Like, I think it's so brave of them to tell this story. And while I think it's becoming more common, because look at our current life situations, and
Yeah.
look at,
Yeah.
and even our history, right? Like
Right.
it becomes common because this is throughout history and ages. This is some of the best storytelling that we can do, because we pull from our own experiences.
Right. Right.
But it's just not the only show on TV that's talking about this.
Yeah.
So I need it to be great. I'm definitely sticking with it.
Right.
And the performances are really carrying me, because
Yeah.
they're stellar. The performances are so good.
Yeah.
But I just wish I cared about any of the storylines. Okay, let me
Totally
ask
fair.
you this.
Okay.
Spoilers or no spoilers?
All right, let's talk about Stitch Fix. I know shopping's hard. I know it is. I found a much better way to do it, though. Stitch Fix, online personal styling, and makes it so easy. I'm not a shopping person. Doesn't matter. Even if I can figure out my size, stores never seem to really have what I need in stock. Then I'm not a crowds person. I'm not a lines person. I don't have the time for it. Stitch Fix, it gets you a stylist who understands your style, understands the size, gets the budget. They do all the shopping for you. So I just give my stylist the one that I have right now. I give them the size, I give them the style, I give the budget preferences. I order boxes when I want, how I want, no subscription required. And he just sends me for pieces, pluses, outfit recommendations, styling tips. It's awesome. I keep what works, and then I send back the rest. It's very easy. There's no stores, there's no crowds, there's no stress. Just personalized looks that you're going to love. Stitch Fix makes it all so easy. And it looks like you know what you're doing, too. If you're walking around, you go, hey, look at you. You're in style. I said, I know, right? And then I give Stitch Fix some props. Anyway, make style easy. Get started today at stitchfix.com/KHS. One more time, stitchfix.com.
Well, I do want to say one thing with your brave thing before we move on.
KHS.
I think it is brave to do this in the world of Star Wars. And so you have to put that in the context. I think what you're saying is absolutely correct. It's not brave in the world of television overall, because we've seen this stuff before. But I think in the world of Star Wars, that was the first time the word rape has ever been uttered in any live action Star Wars ever. That's the first time a scene like that has really been shown in Star Wars. So there's little things that they're doing that I do think are brave within the context of the pew, pew, pew Star Wars. It doesn't mean there hasn't been dark stuff before, of course, but
Yeah.
this level, we haven't really seen in Star Wars. And I think that's important. But yes, okay,
You're
go ahead.
you're so right. That's why I started this by saying I am
Yeah.
reviewing this as a television show.
Right, exactly. As you should.
So, but if we are talking about this as a Star Wars property,
Mhm.
then I think it's a completely different parameters, right?
Right.
This is a Disney property.
Right.
So we're under a completely different umbrella then.
Yes.
But
Yes.
okay, for speaking on what you just mentioned is what
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about. I think it's interesting that they did that we hear that he almost raped me, he's dead,
Right.
he's outside, come out.
Right.
But now I need you guys to deal with that. I need you guys as a show to deal with the
Yes.
ramifications of that.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying they won't, because I haven't seen past episode 3. But
Yeah.
what I fear is that sometimes in shows like this, we're willing to go there, but then we're not willing to explore what that means.
I think you're so spot on, especially when you're dealing with Disney and Marvel and Star Wars. Marvel really has committed this crime a lot recently. They'll bring up a subject and they'll touch on it. What's it like to be a black superhero in America? But then they won't really dive into the minutia and the nuance and the different things that you experience as a black person in this country. They'll touch on it and generally say, oh God, that's a bad thing, but they won't really dive into it. I can assure you that this stuff with Bix carries over throughout the whole season. It is
So
a
then I have a
storyline.
feeling I'm going to like the show a lot. I was nervous that
Right.
we're
Totally.
presenting these huge concepts and
agree.
these scary things that are very real for a lot of people.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and have ramifications,
Right.
personal ramifications, worldly ramifications. So I just want to see that. And again, Christian told me, I know you didn't you liked but didn't love the first season. I have a
Yeah.
feeling first 3 episodes are gonna be a continuation of that for you, and then after that point, it's gonna pick up.
Right,
Um,
right.
and so I was like, "Okay, let me go in with that mindset." And he also told
Mm.
me there was gonna be a lot of talking, and John, oh my god, there's so much talking.
Yes, it is a talking
And we
show.
we be around a table talking all the time. I'm like, "Okay, let me put out my notepad. What are we talking about today? I gotta take notes from Google because I don't know what planet you're talking about. I don't know what people you're talking about. I don't know." Okay, okay. So much talking. I wish they showed me a little more sometimes, which
That's fair. That's totally fair.
maybe they will.
And
It
you're
sounds
you're
like I
not
hate the show, which I don't.
no.
I enjoy it. It's just overhyped for me.
I think you're offering honest criticism, which I appreciate because I've seen, over the last few weeks, people chiming in going like, why is everybody fawning over everything? And it's like, no, I'd rather have a fun back and forth about it where both points of views are heard and consumed rather than just dismissed. And I think that's important. So I totally respect where you're coming from. And in no way am I trying to make you like the show. I love the fact that you've got your own opinion on it. It's very
And I
reasoned.
do like it. I like it.
Yeah, yeah, it's you like, and you want to see. And the next 3 episodes are the longest 3 episodes of the season. Each of
How
them
long?
are almost an hour each. And
Okay.
the other ones are more balanced with like one being long, one being almost an hour, and the other 2 being like 45, 46 minutes. So that's how it's going. But like the next 3 are the really long episodes, and it's laying the foundation of everything they just kind of touched on. We're going to see it more in motion. And I'll be curious to see what you feel after the next 3, as Christian said. These might be more the ones that you're into. And then it leads to the third 3-episode block, which is really that is the emotionally poignant section of these 12 episodes that I think
I'm really
I've been
looking
real
forward
curious to
to
hear
it.
what you think in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I really am.
I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah.
You and I share a very close mutual friend who I think you're specifically referencing right now, as
Yeah.
Christian lovingly says, Jeff Schneider, who I read, and
It
he has
hasn't been just him. There's
oh,
other
really?
people doing it too. So yeah.
He has an amazing newsletter, the Insider, but he
Yeah.
did an entire thing last night about how everybody is just so positive about all of these different properties. And I have to say, like, I know what he's talking about.
Right.
And I'm a pretty positive person in general, especially as an artist. I think that it's so easy to knock something, but it takes so much to create something. It's so
Right.
difficult that I am a positive person. But in general, for me, as you guys know at home, or maybe you don't, I'm not a critic first. So
Right.
when I go see something that I don't like, or if I'm at home and watching a show that I don't like, do you know what I do?
What's that?
I never talk about it again.
If
I
you
don't
don't like it. Right.
if I
Right.
don't like it,
Right.
here's what I do. You'll know I didn't like it because I just don't speak about it. If I tell you I'm going to a movie screening or a premiere, or if I'm watching a show and you don't hear me talk about it, that means I didn't like it. Because I just am not somebody who wants to waste my time talking
Right.
about things I don't like. Something like Andor, I do like. So I like to talk about it because even talking to you, John, it makes me like it more. Hearing kind of like, okay, this is what's for you in the future. This might be something that you're interested in. Here's what to look forward to. I do like it, and it makes me look forward to it. So if I don't like something, you just never hear it from my mouth. Like I just never mention it.
Well, well, I have seen a couple on the Real Rejects when you've done out of theater reactions, and you do struggle to not be negative about a thing, and you almost seem like, I hate to say this, but it's the truth. So a couple of times, yeah, but I know for the most part, you don't go out of your way to create a video to like crap on a project that you don't like or whatever. Or
That's true. I will and I'm honest. I'll be honest.
Out of theater reactions, as part of your job. So
yeah, exactly. But I try not to focus on the things that I really don't like. So because also it puts me in a bad headspace. Like you're always talking about things you hate. What a horrible life to live. I just don't want to.
I disagree. I don't disagree with you. It's why, like, as I've gotten older as a critic and as a pundit or a reviewer or whatever you want to call it, it's if I'm becoming more selective of the things I watch because of my time and because of I don't want to go see a terrible movie for 2 hours. I don't want to have to crap on it. I'm like, if I have 3 or 4 friends who've gone to see it ahead of me and they tell me how bad it's going to be, I'll just wait sometimes. It depends on the movie. Sometimes I'll just go. But other times I'll just kind of wait and then catch it on video, watch it, and then I'll be like, yeah, they were right. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. So I hear what
Yeah.
you're saying. I try to keep away from that kind of stuff.
Totally. Yeah, you know
overall.
what's frustrating though, and I
Yeah.
know you can relate to this, and Christian loves when I do this, but I just gave we've been live 17 minutes. For 14 of them, I've been talking about how I like Andor, but
Yes.
am not in love with it.
Yes.
And I'm done with my 15-minute discussion on it.
Okay.
I'm surprised Roxy doesn't like Andor in the chat. And it's like, I can't get anyone to listen to my words.
Well, it's Mike Joyce, and Mike at times.
I know, but it's not just him. And I call
general.
out Mike all the time, even though I love Mike, but he'd be doing annoying stuff all the time. But I can't get it happens to me all the time where I'll spend, it's not just a tweet. John, you asked me back and forth questions. We discussed it. We talked about it. I said the things I liked about it, the things I'm concerned about. But I said multiple times, I like this show. And then somehow the takeaway is, I can't believe Roxy doesn't like Andor. And it's just like, I don't know how to get anybody to care that my words are my words and my actual feelings. And same with you, I'm sure, John.
At times, yes. It's a losing battle with certain people. Other people do listen to us and are very clear about it, but then some other, and even Mike just said, I was half listening. Well, then don't fully comment. You're only half listening. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, exactly.
And don't full comment, full send, full delete. Like, come on.
And someone tried to compare you to one of those notable Star Wars YouTube pundits who's just negative about everything. And Roxy's not saying that, because I heard their comments, and their comments are very clearly from a certain self-serving point of view. And so this is not what's happening here. This is much more of a nuanced conversation about these episodes.
Wow, I've never been accused of being negative about everything. That's interesting.
It's ridiculous stuff. All right. Anything more to say on this? And I'm sorry for some of you who maybe thought, we were going to talk about it, and, we were going to get into it. So I hope you guys have a good idea of what both of us feel about Andor and what's coming here, because there is 9 more episodes. It'll be done in 3 weeks, which I think is really, what do you think about that, Rox? I haven't gotten your 2 cents on that. You're a person, as you said, you watch 200 episodes or 200 television shows a year, which is incredible. But what do you think?
120, 200 would be crazy, but yeah, it's still a lot.
120. What do you think about the release plan here, that they released all 12 of these within a 4-week time frame? It isn't really binging, but it's also chunks at a time, and it isn't separated into chunks here and then wait a few weeks and the next chunk. It's very much like one right after the other. So what do you think about that?
My favorite model, and for a long time, this goes back to our Collider days, my favorite model for streaming television has always been 3 episodes in the first week and then 1 every week. I think it's enough to get you into a show, and then keeps you coming back week by week. Now, of course, there are exceptions to that depending on what that show is,
right,
and how long those episodes are. But just in general, that's my favorite. 3 episodes every week for only 4 weeks, when this is their big property of the year, felt like a really weird call. But when they said there's a year between every chunk, it made it make a little more sense.
Right.
And I understand why we got those first 3 last night, because I honestly thought the first 2 were very lackluster, and then the third one really picks up.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I get why we got 3 here. But I wish that this was lasting longer. I wish that I didn't have to watch 3 hours last night in order to talk to you about this today. I wish I could watch one, have it sink in, do my Googling, put the pieces together, ask you questions about it in between weeks, and then be like, okay, I'm ready. It's a lot for a casual fan to do 3 hours of this. But I haven't seen the whole thing like you have, so I can't say that it doesn't make sense, because I'm not there yet. After watching all 12, do you feel like it was the right release strategy?
No, I actually don't. And I know that they're doing this, I think, to make it qualify for the Emmys, possibly, which I think it should be in consideration for it after having seen the whole season. But that being said, I don't think so, because I think there are some pretty strong episodes coming, that it would be nice to have a whole week of discourse about just that episode. But the fact that you've got to rope in the other 2 episodes when talking about one of the episodes, I think, is where it's going to be a bit detrimental. We're still going to get the think pieces and the videos and whatever, but I think you're losing out on the momentum that you could generate. And certainly Star Wars needs a lot of positive momentum right now.
Yeah.
Celebration was one of the most tamest things I've ever seen in my life. No boldness coming out of that, which is really rare for Star Wars. So
I didn't even know it happened until it was in the middle of it. I was
a lot of people said that too. So and so you want to generate like 12 weeks of buzz, or at least, as you said, the first 3 episodes, then like 9 weeks of buzz around this property. But unfortunately, it's going to be over in 3 weeks, and I think people will talk about it, be into it, and then in a month it'll be gone. Like people will, oh yeah, remember when Andor came out? Because we're going to be moving into the summer movie season, into the thick of the summer movie season in just 3 weeks. So yeah, unfortunately, that's the situation.
What would have been your ideal? 1 a week, or a chunk and then one, or what do you think?
No, I think what you said, the first 3 to get you to understand we are going to pick up right where we left off. We are staying, well, I mean, a year later, but the energy and the attention to detail and the direction and the point of view, we're going to keep that for the first 3 episodes. So you're in good hands if you like those 3 episodes. And then 1 episode a week so that you can really sink in and watch it multiple times. Because, I mean, the idea of watching 1 episode multiple times over a 7-day period, that's doable. The idea of watching 3 episodes multiple times to kind of really consume what you're watching and catch all the stuff that's going on, I think that's a lot to ask of viewers, myself personally, and binging.
What is your plan now that you've seen all of them? Are you going to rewatch some of them, or what is your intention?
I've already written down 3 episodes that I'm going to rewatch multiple times before I review them with the Geek Buddies and with the Jedi Way crew. So I know which ones I'm going to rewatch already. If there's time on a Sunday, now that we're not in football season, I might sit and rewatch those other 2 that are part of the block. But in each block, there is 1 episode that I want to rewatch more than once, because I think that's the crux of each of those blocks, and I think the 3rd episode would have been the one to rewatch here for me. So yeah,
I would love to rewatch the 3rd episode of this.
Yeah.
But man, I just felt exhausted after watching all 3. I was like, oh, okay. Let me just do a little stretching in. Like, I can't believe you did 12 in 1 day. That would have put me in the ground. I've
never done it. I've never done 12 in 1 day, Rox. Never.
Why did you do that? Were they going to go away?
No, because I was going to go away at 6 p.m. PT last night.
Okay.
And listen, I had it for 2 weeks, but I've been working on so many things. And to be honest with you, for me, Andor is a very special show. A Latino lead, the conversation about fighting back against a fascist dictatorship, the allusions to immigration, the allusions to these smaller countries that get taken over by bigger countries sometimes in the history of Latin American countries. Like, there's a lot for me when I went into Andor that touched me, right? And so I kind of sat and I was like waiting for the right time, I could not get in the mood. And then the night before, on, I think, what's today? Wednesday, Monday night, I was like, all right, you're going to get up at 7 or 8 a.m. You're going to confront this and you're going to watch the whole thing. And so there wasn't a sense of like, well, I'm forcing myself. It was more a matter of, if I like it, because I saw some of the reactions that were really positive, I will keep watching it. And if not, then I'll just, watch it with everybody else when the 3 episode drops. I don't really lose anything, but I couldn't stop consuming it. I was so just loving the characters and the storylines and where they were going and what they were showing. And there's a lot of shocking moments in the next 9 episodes that I was just like, oh my God. My girlfriend was in the middle of a Zoom when I yelled out from one moment, and she texted me. She goes, I am in the middle of the Zoom with my supervisor. It's like, I'm sorry, honey. I'm sorry. So yeah, so there are some really interesting stuff that's happening. So,
when you say I'm going to tackle this, I'm going to confront this. So were you looking at this like a chore, or just like right now with the state of the world and my personal life or whatever, this is too hard to watch?
Yeah, I was worried about how much of it would affect me. Because I'm not, you guys know, for those of you who follow me, I'm not the regular viewer. There's a lot of, I am a politically savvy person. It affects my life every day. And so for me, I knew what they were going to be tackling in this season from having seen interviews and things of that nature. So I was like, kind of, what can I say? I was kind of strengthening myself up to watch it because of, how I have been taking some of the stuff that's been going on in our real worlds. And I will be honest with you, there's a lot of blurring of the lines when you watch this season of Andor between what's going on and what I mean. At times it's prescient for a show that was shot 2 years ago. So to me, it was shocking some of the stuff that we see, and especially that scene where you see the two guys in that third episode going, okay, here's what we're going to do about Gorman. We're gonna fabricate that they're terrorists and they're harboring terrorists, and we're gonna name them all terrorists, and we're gonna fabricate this whole narrative, and people are gonna believe it. They're gonna buy it hook, line, and sinker. Because what we really want is this. And just seeing that, my mind was like, what the? So, it just was that kind of stuff.
Got you.
It's very blurring of the lines between the real world and the fantasy world that they've got there in Star Wars. So yeah, I just had to kind of get myself in the right mind space, and I was watching the whole thing. I was never bored. I was never like, oh my god. I was more just, except after one episode, I had to take a walk for like 20 minutes outside after one of the episodes to really kind of calm down before I came back to finish out the rest of the season. But other than that,
Completely.
yeah. So